So you finally decided to get on a diet and actually start losing the weight. You've finally thrown out all the shit you had in your fridge, all the shit you had in your shelves, and now it's time for you to actually go to the grocery store, get some healthy options, and see how you can actually structure your diet so you can lose more weight and you can start living healthier. But there's just one problem. You really don't know where to start. You don't know what to get. You don't know what options are better and what options are not. All right. And that's why I made this video. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and let's get right into it. This is how you should shop for your groceries. I'm going to show you exactly what you should get, exactly the options that you should actually pick, and the options that you should actually avoid in order for you to start losing that weight and in order for you to actually get on a real calorie deficit. So we're going to break up this shopping into 3 parts, right? And this is going to represent all the macronutrients that you need in order for you to actually get on a proper diet. And that's going to be your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. So first thing about protein, because that's what we're going to start with. What not to do when you're actually shopping for protein is you want to avoid everything on this aisle. This is the frozen aisle. This is where you have your chicken patties, your chicken nuggets, your beef patties, and all these other frozen options. You want to avoid them because these are actually pretty terrible when it comes to the calories versus the protein. And I'll show you what I mean. So let's take these chicken breast patties. Now, you guys know that chicken breast is actually one of the best sources of protein, right? Like you can have a lot of protein and not a lot of fat when it comes to chicken breast. But these chicken breast patties, I'll show you why they're different. Now, as you can see, these patties contain 230 calories per serving and only has 9 grams of protein in 230 calories. But look at the fat content. This contains 14 grams of fat. So basically, the fat content is almost double the protein content. This is what you should look out for when you're actually shopping for your protein, because that makes this a terrible source of protein. You should have more protein, less fats, and you should have less calories in your protein option because you're trying to get on a diet, you're trying to lose weight. So having a high calorie option like this and not having a lot of protein in it is just not going to do. So just like I said, when it comes to your protein, you want lean protein options, right? You want more protein and you want less fat. And this is where we're gonna get that, okay? So the best protein options are gonna be either something like chicken. You can have like chicken breast, right? You look at this chicken breast now. What does it say here? See, it says 120 calories per serving and it has 25 grams of protein and only 1.5 gram of fat. Now that is a real protein source. That is what you actually need because as you can see, it has low calories, it has more protein, and you can basically like eat this and you're gonna have more protein in your diet without all the actual extra calories and all the fat. Another good option is going to be your ground beef. Now, a lot of you guys, when you're getting ground beef, you don't really understand what these numbers mean. So what 85% lean means, it means that 85% of this ground beef is going to be protein and 15% is going to be fat. But you don't want to get this, you want to get something like this. So 93% lean. You want to get the one with the highest percentage and the one with the least fat because you want more protein, you don't want a lot of fat, okay? So as you can see here, this ground beef contains 140 calories per serving, 24 grams of protein and only 4.5 grams of fat, which is what you need when it comes to your protein. And there are so many options, right? There's like the chicken breast, there's like the drumsticks, there's like the ground turkey, there's like the ground chicken. You can have whatever you want in this option, in like the protein section, and this is where you should actually get your protein. Forget about all the protein stuff, forget about all the other shit, and just focus on this. Get 1 or 2 options that you can use, get a bunch of them, meal prep, and prepare them for the week. All right, that's what you do for protein. Now we're gonna go over to carbs. Before we get to carbs, I just wanted to show you guys something. All right, these are like really good protein options that you can have on the go. So let's say you're somebody that works a lot and you don't really have a lot of time to like cook or like like have like meals that you've already cooked. Having one of these or like a bunch of these in your bag is actually going to help you like hit those protein goals. As you can see, this is a Quest protein bar. It has 21 grams of protein, right? 4 grams of net carbs, 1 gram of sugar, and it's only 180 calories. This is a great option. So if you're somebody that's on the go, like you're working, or let's say you're done with a workout but you don't have time to actually cook a meal, then this is something that you can actually have. As you can see, it comes in a variety of flavors, right? So you can have many of this however you want, and you want to stick to those type of bars. Don't go with the Kind bars, because the Kind bars don't have a lot of protein. They have only 6 grams of protein, 5 grams of sugar. Okay, so stick to like things like the Quest bars. Anything over 20 grams of protein is actually pretty good. The 5-6 grams of protein, just avoid those entirely. All right, now let's go to the carbs. So when it comes to carbs, let's start with the breakfast, because breakfast is usually the place where most of you have your carbs. And you know, like there are so many options when it comes to breakfast foods that you can actually eat in order for you to actually start losing the weight. First things first, you want slow digesting carbs. This should be the bulk of your carb intake, right? You want something that's slow digesting, something that's going to fill you up, lower calories, lower sugar, and not a lot of fat. All right, that is why we're going to avoid cereal, right? Cereal is only just a whole bunch of sugar. It's very high in sugar, and it doesn't really give you a lot of like fiber or any other benefits, right? So this is what I want you to get when you're getting your carbs, especially when it comes to breakfast. You want to get things like this. You want to get your oats. All right, as you can see, oats here has 150 calories per serving. You actually have 5 grams of protein, which is pretty good because this is mostly carbs. And then you have like 4 grams of fiber, and you have 27 grams of carbs, and basically no sugar. Like it's like 1 gram of sugar. This is slow digesting. This is gonna fill you up, and this you can use for your protein shakes as well. You can use for a multiple variety of things. All right, this is my top option when it comes to like slow digesting carb options that you can actually have for breakfast. So another carb option you can have is bread. I know a lot of people will tell you avoid bread, don't eat bread, bread is the enemy. Okay, you're gonna get fat eating bread. You guys want to actually eat bread, and you can have bread. I eat bread all the time. So let me show you what you should look for when it comes to bread. You want to go with the whole wheat options. The whole wheat options of bread are usually like the best because those are gonna have the lowest amount of sugar. As you can see, this bread is like 70 calories per slice, only 1 gram of sugar, 3 grams of protein, all right, and just 1 gram of fat. So these whole wheat breads are usually the best because they are lower in calories, they have basically no sugar, and they're also like slow digesting just because it's really just wheat. All right, you want to avoid bread options that are like higher in calories. I can show you an example. I think, yeah, this bread, yeah, this is Panera bread. It's like 100 calories in one slice. All right, so basically like 30 more calories than the other one that I showed you. And there are so many other options of bread that are over 100 calories per slice. You want to avoid those because what are we trying to do? We're trying to get in a calorie deficit. We're trying to get lean. Okay, so lower calorie options, right, and slow digesting. That should be the goal. And that's it when it comes to your breakfast stuff. When it comes to carbs, you could also have granola too. Let's see here what they have for granola. You could have granola, but the thing is you want to be careful when you're having granola because some of this granola, it's not just granola. They have a bunch of other things in it that's just going to ramp up the calories, all right? So like this one is 270 calories, so I would avoid that. You can see it has like so many other things in it. You want to just stick with the plain granola, and that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. All right, now let's go see some more carbs. So your other carb options are going to be things like potatoes, right? These are like really great. They're like awesome. You know, they're low calories, they have high fiber, and they're slow digesting as well. All right, so you can have your potatoes. There are different types of potatoes. Honestly, this whole section here, just pan around. This whole section here is like filled with a lot of great carb options, right? You have your veggies, you have your fruits, you have basically everything that you could have. So there's so many options here, so you don't have to feel like you're limiting yourself in any way, right? All you need to do is just pick one that is really best for you, right? Pick the one that you like. You have different types of veggies. So if you like, mushrooms, if you like carrots, if you like greens, you can have all those. If you like sweet potatoes, you can have sweet potatoes. If you like Irish potatoes, you can have Irish potatoes. Whatever type of fruit you want, there's strawberries, there's pineapple. I'm actually gonna grab some pineapple later on, but that's like my favorite thing to eat. But yeah, you guys have so many options when it comes to carbs that are actually better than all the other type of carbs, which is like sweets and all these other things that you guys are probably getting, like chips and everything else, like snacks. You want to avoid those things. It's not like you can't have snacks, but if you're just starting off, you want to work on your discipline first, right? So it's best to avoid snacks, especially when you're starting off, and you just want to stick to your greens, your veggies, your potatoes, your oats, and all those other slow digesting carb options. You could also have rice and pasta. Rice is faster digesting, but it's also really good and it goes well with everything. So you can have rice and ground beef, rice and chicken, or whatever the case may be. And you could also have your pasta too. Pasta is also low calories and is slow digesting. So you could have your pasta as well with whatever you want. And that's what we're gonna do with carbs. Now, let's go to fats. So when it comes to fats, there are not really any low calorie fat options, but I'm just going to name a bunch of fat options that you can actually have that are actually going to help you with your goals, right? So one thing with fats that you guys have to understand is fats are usually in everything that you eat. So the meat that we talked about when it comes to your protein, it also had fat in there, right? Even some of the carb options that we looked at, it also had some fat in there. That's the thing with fat. Fat is usually used for a whole lot of things, right? So you guys don't have to like pick and choose what fat options you have. Chances are, if you're hitting your protein goals, if you're hitting your carb goals, you're also gonna be having some fat in there. All right, some good fat options are going to be like your avocado, going to be your peanut butter, right? Or some type of butter or some type of oil. But the problem with fat is fats are really high in calories. And if you're not careful with how you're eating your fats, you're going to end up just smashing out of your calorie deficit. A lot of foods, like fast foods that you eat in restaurants, that you eat in, fast food places, they have a lot of fat content, and this is what makes these foods really high in calories. So if you want good fat options, you can have them from literally just eating your protein. If you're eating meat, if you're eating fish, right, you're gonna have fats in there, right? If you're eating, there's some type of carbs that also have some fats in there, and that's how you get your fat, right? So you don't need to really go start selecting like fat, I want fat, so I want to get this for fat. Like, no, if you're frying your eggs too are a good option when it comes to both protein and fats, right? Eggs are gonna have healthy protein and it's also gonna have healthy fats. So let's say you decided to fry some eggs, you're going to have some protein in there and you're going to have some fat in there. So fat is not something that you should go for when you're trying to shop for groceries. Now, what did we cover here? All right, we covered the basics when it comes to shopping for groceries, when it comes to you actually getting in a calorie deficit, starting to lose the weight, starting to eat healthier, okay? Start with your protein whenever you go to the grocery store. Get your ground beef, your ground chicken, your chicken breast, your drumsticks, whatever you want, right? There's so many options that you can get. Make sure that it's high in protein, low in fat, and low in calories. That's what we want. For your carbs, you want to stick to slow digesting carb options. So for breakfast, you want to get your oats, right? You want to get your bread, and you want to also do your eggs too. Eggs are good for breakfast. Those are going to be like protein and fats, and that's what basically you want to do for carbs. You want to do your potatoes, you want to do your veggies, and just shop in that aisle and make sure that you're getting some good healthy options that you can use to actually hit those goals, right? I also talked about pasta and rice, right? Those are actually really good too. Rice is fast digesting, but it's also good because it's not that high in calories, and you could basically have that with everything else. And then with your fats, you're just going to have that with every other thing that you're eating. So these are the things that you want to focus on when it comes to your grocery shopping. And I hope this video has given you a bird's eye view on what I do and how I'm able to stay lean all year round. And this is what all my clients do as well. If you like the video, drop a like down below and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.